January 10th, Friday, the first tarot snapshot of 2025. And I want to thank you for being here. I was usually doing my tarot snapshots on Sundays, but let's look at all the content that I create. I am now doing morning messages every morning. Hopefully you're catching them on the social medias. Little morning messages, little tarot card readings to get you going for the day. On Wednesday, I write a blog, and you can find that on my website. You can look me up on Substack. Every Sunday now, I'm hosting the Die, Laugh, Love podcast, a free online spirit gallery that you can attend in hopes to get a reading. You can listen to that podcast, watch it on YouTube, the whole thing. The Tarot Snapshot is something that I was doing on Sundays, but it was just a lot. So I'm trying to move it to a place in the week, and I think Friday night is perfect. Blog on Wednesday, Tarot Snapshot tonight on Friday, and then come and join me 3 o'clock on Sundays for the Die, Laugh, Love podcast. Who knows who's going to get a reading or what's going to happen. It's always been a really good time. I want to thank you for being here. This is a video that I hope to keep under 10 minutes. This is a 3-card reading. The Tarot Snapshot is a reading, and you can do this with your Oracle cards or your Tarot cards or what have you. This is a card that takes a look at where we're at collectively in the moment, what vexes and perplexes us, and what heals and reveals. So we're taking a look at where we're at, our challenges, and the guidance that tarot can bring to us. And I love this because this is something, again, I could do this with runes, I could do this with Oracle cards. I'm going to do it with some tarot cards. Also, remember that the meanings that I have with some tarot cards are very personal, and you might not find them in books, which I think is the way this living tradition should work. That the more somebody uses it, the more of a relationship they gain with it. So here we go. Where are we collectively? Now remember, I take as much guidance out of this, so let's sit here. And before I even put this card up, I hear the word disappointment. Are we disappointed? Disappointed in what? Disappointed with whom? Ourselves, with people, with the world? I mean, it is, we're off to a rock and roll start with 2025. I mean, what's happening in California? I'm 45 years old. It's blowing my mind to watch the destruction of what's going on out there. It is so bizarre to watch. Perhaps we're disappointed in God or our idea of divinity or what have you. You know, tens of thousands of homes and buildings are being destroyed. Very difficult for us to believe in a higher power in the face of such destruction, right? I mean, that's a valid question, I think, for a lot of us. So, if I just heard the word disappointment, might have absolutely nothing to do with the card that I'm about to pull, but let's see what tarot says for us. Okay, bear with me here. Bear with me. This I think, is a good card to indicate disappointment. So here we have the 5 of Pentacles. When it comes to tarot in any of the suits, and this is a minor card, we have like the ace, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 10. When you get to 5, you go from the balance of 4 to the imbalance of 5 to the balance of 6. So 5s are never warm and fuzzy in tarot, especially this one. There is a side. I mean, look at that card. I mean, they're unhealthy. They're disabled. They are experiencing the storm. Remember how I said that there are some meanings to tarot, like every time I get this card, I'm going to have a different meaning? I have a particularly different and unique meaning with this card. And I'm just going to share it with you. This is the card of the pity party. This is the card of victim mentality for me. That when I see this is a reminder that throwing ourselves a pity party or playing the victim never gets us anywhere. I also do, let's look at the California thing with the fires. That's a force of nature. Something caused that. Fire is a force of nature. Humans have this arrogance that they think they're the greatest force of nature in the world, and they're not. These people are susceptible to illness. They're susceptible to the weather. Hopefully, they can get around the corner and get into this church where there is a sense of warmth and safety that the community has provided. Isn't that interesting? Like, I was talking about disappointment in God. And there is some valid frustration that we can have with our religious organizations. Look at, I mean, come on, the Pope and gold-coated thrones, like thrones of gold. Jesus would never be on a golden throne. Like, what? Like, there's hungry people in the world, yet the Vatican is the largest landholder in the world. What? Like, what? So, if God is going to work through this world, I believe God's going to work through us as humans collectively. Let's lean into that. That their sense of safety and warmth is going to come from something that humans built, not necessarily what God built. But perhaps God, source, universe, what have you, built that with the hands of humans. Okay. Disappointment, absolutely. Do we have things to be upset about? Absolutely. Will a victim mentality or playing the victim or throwing yourselves a pity party ever help? Absolutely not. But sometimes we get there. And sometimes we have to feel those things to move through them. Let's take a look at what vexes and perplexes us. Justice. Oh my gosh. Could we ask for anything more spot on? Justice. Where's the sense of justice in this world? The justice card really makes me think about divine law and justice versus human justice. I think ideally human justice is trying to aim for divine justice. But the question that always comes up when I have the justice card is this. Take a mom who has no ability to earn money. Like, through no fault of her own, she has no work, no income, there's no support for her, and she has kids. Take a destitute, abandoned mother who's raising kids. That mother walks into a store, steals a loaf of bread to feed her children. Did she break the law? That's a debate for the ages, isn't it? I mean, now we're in ethics college courses, right? There's a sense of divine law and justice. This vexes and perplexes us. If we lived in a just society, like, would we have the level of suffering that we do? Absolutely not. We do not live in a just society. And I think that can perplex us and vex us and can cause us to feel the victim of that unjust society. But perhaps this is making us move to something else, right? If we do get caught up in the pity party or the victim mentality, where at least can we use that as fuel to move to something better? Now, if this vexes and perplexes us, the next card heals and reveals. So let's look at our guidance. The King of Swords. The swords talk about the mind, and the king is in this suit of tarot anyways. The king represents like the ultimate achievement. Like, this is somebody who's using their mind with skill. Okay. And I love that analogy of the sword and the mind being one and the same, because if you're not using a sword with skill and grace, you're going to hurt yourself or other people. Are we here because we're not using the sword with skill and grace, that our mind is not being used with skill? Do we cause ourselves issues because our mind isn't being used skillfully? Absolutely. We were promised growing up that we were going to live in a fair world. we're inundated with this sense of justice. You know, look at all the narrative structures we consume. The villains get punished. The villains get punished. We're in a world right now where the villains are not really being punished, but being celebrated. There is a sense there. Okay, so things are out of balance. Things are out of whack. Is it our fault? Maybe collectively, but not personally. This is asking you to use your mind with skill and grace, and maybe take a look historically or sociologically at this, like what's going on here. Now, I am the host of the Die, Laugh, Love podcast. I give about an hour and a half of my time every week for online spirit galleries because I want to give back. Okay, here's an interesting thing to consider. That podcast happened because I did something after the election. After the election results came in, and a vast majority of people, at least from what I could see, were really upset. And worried about January 20th, I decided to do what was called the Vitamin Joy Spirit Gallery. That it was a 2 hour spirit gallery, just anybody could hop on it and hopefully take away a little bit of wisdom and hope. I had such a good response to that, and I loved doing it so much that I turned that into a podcast, the Die Laugh Love podcast. So every week, I wouldn't have done that podcast if everything was hunky dory. Do you see like where the chaos and the storms can ask us to dig deep and transform this energy into something useful? I would never encourage anybody to be apolitical. And what I mean by that is like to lack politics. I see very few people in this world being political, though. I see so many people in this world being insane. Like literally insane. Okay. That's because they're not using their mind with skill and grace. That's because they think they can do the same things over and over again and get different results. And that's the definition of insanity. Hopefully, this and the lack of justice can help us use our mind with skill and grace, step into that place of power and strength, and make a better change in this world. That's what I think we're collectively being called to. Hopefully you can take a little bit of this wisdom and do something in the world that makes it a better place. No pressure, no obligation. Just don't stand in the goddamn snow feeling sorry for yourself. Do something with your life. Pick up your sword and move forward with purpose and passion and grace. Thank you for being here. That's the Tarot Snapshot for Friday, January 10th. All my love to you. Catch me on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for the Die Laugh Love podcast. As I say, it's going to be a corker, and I really appreciate you being there. All my love to you, and I'll see you next time.